Here we go.
This is the Sluggo, slant and go.
Fellows, this episode 124 of the Sluggo podcast. Of course, I screwed up the opening. There we are. You have to admit I'm pretty consistent. And I have these headphones on because I'm downstairs and I hear all, dogs barking and sirens and cars and whatever. And they work. I think I'm now deaf, as they say. So it's Wednesday. We're going to get together and talk football. Beef. You're 3-0, buddy. You're undefeated.
Yeah, I don't even remember who I picked.
This week or last week?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, that's hilarious. You did really, really, really well. Your Rutgers pick was classic. And so cool. So cool to see you at 3-0. Jeffrey ever says, evening, guys. Evening, Jeffrey. Glad to see you come in. Good week for everybody, actually. Locks 2-1. Beat me on a head-to-head. I was also 2-1. I was going for undefeated. But once the things started happening there in the fourth quarter, I texted you, Locks, and said, well, here's what's going to happen. Florida State's going to score real quick, and then LSU's going to come back. I didn't know it was going to take about a play and a half for that to happen. But it happened quick when it happened.
Yeah, I was expecting to land on the number or just below it, like you said, and then I get stuck. But, yeah, it worked out. We tied up. It was good. It worked out nice. I had my first bet early with Utah at that under at 800, and then I kind of dialed it back because I wasn't so confident. So it worked out perfect for me.
Well, not quite. We're not quite tied. Our record is tied, but you've got a few bucks on me, and we'll get to that in a minute. So Casey's obviously in first with this 3-0 record. Golf clap. Locks is in second, 2-1. I'm in third at 2-1. So last week we did a poll. I asked you guys for a crazy take or something you thought would happen. Locks came up with probably the lamest ever.
It didn't even happen. Who knew?
And it didn't happen. There you go.
I had money on that too.
Let me count up the votes how many we had last week. I don't know why it won't come up. There it is. We had 40,000. That's it. 40,000 votes. 85% went with Spencer Rattler to throw interception. He did not. Coastal came closer to beating UCLA, I think. I think at one point that was a close game. And Beefs, he had a perfect one for week 2. We'll have to wait 3 months to find out whether Beefs hit or not. So didn't work out so well for me. Locks, I'm giving you a hard time about your prediction for the week, your bold prediction, but you won the week. So
I didn't understand the assignment fully. Sorry, Teach.
Okay.
Yeah, me neither. I did a week thing I did a year thing rather than the week. That's my bad. Just
to prove you, wait till you see this week's, and I'll just show you just how screwed up I did it again. Go ahead.
Okay, but let me look back. Let me look down on episode 1 and 2. Which bold prediction? One bold prediction for week 1, fellas. That's what the rundown said for week 1. So you guys failed. Anyway,
I print this thing out 3 minutes before I log in, and I don't look at it. For me.
No, good deal. Okay, fellas, week 1 takeaways. We'll get to Clemson in a minute, but Locks, other than the Clemson game, takeaways from week 1.
It was a great weekend, Thursday through Sunday. Let's just start there. I mean, Thursday was nice. I enjoyed it. There were about 4 games going on. They were overlapping. It just kind of got me back into it. I wish they would just figure out how to put that at week 0 instead. That was was fun just to kind of get a little taste of it. Friday was good. Saturday was real good too. I think it was just a good slate across the board. Obviously, Colorado is all everybody's talking about. I'm tired of talking about it personally, but yeah, overall a fun weekend. And biggest takeaway for me is Florida State is as advertised. I think they played at a different speed than anyone else that I saw. So be interesting to follow them along.
It certainly looked like it. I was not necessarily keen on them preseason. I thought they were getting too much hype. Maybe they didn't get enough hype. Beef, your takeaways from week one.
Yeah, when you get the best player from Michigan State, arguably the best player from South Carolina, probably the best player from Virginia, and the list goes on. I mean, you're going to hit on a couple of those guys out of Florida State. Obviously, Colorado is the talk of the town. Florida State, talk of the weekend. Is Auburn back? I mean, they put a 50 burger up on directional whomever. Or no, I'm sorry, it was Massachusetts. Not even directional. It's up there somewhere. Ole Miss and Oregon nearly hanging 100 on their opponents. I mean, it was a lot of fun. I think Saturday 3:30 games were pretty boring.
Mm-hmm.
The noon slate was really good, especially with that Colorado TCU game going back and forth. That was a lot of fun. 3:30 was kind of a downer. It was more of that Auburn, Massachusetts type Wofford. I don't know if you have this, but on my TV, we're allowed to do this multicast now where you get 4 games. But the 4 games were like Auburn, Massachusetts, Wofford, and Pitt. And it was like, this is a really cool concept if there were any decent games on right now. So hopefully as the weeks go on, there will be a little bit better slate so that multicast, whatever it's called, is actually fun. But it was a great weekend of college football. It was great to sit down, do nothing, and watch some games outside of Monday.
I don't have that. I've got DirecTV, and I don't have that. But I do know there's something similar coming for the NFL on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
But again, they pick the 4 teams, right? So it might be 4 crappy games. You don't get to choose which teams, are in that 4, or it said 2 or 4. So I guess if there's sometimes in the afternoon,
had options.
Okay.
Yeah,
there's not many.
But the options were scarce.
Yeah.
Okay. So you could change it. You said you could change the games.
Like you could pick your one game that you wanted on, and then the other 3 were like picked.
Same thing. Yeah. Same thing. Okay. Yeah. Week one, I agree both ways. I thought Florida State looked better than I expected, but I'm still kind of thinking, is it Florida State or is it LSU? Is LSU not the team everyone expected? I don't know. But Florida State looked darn good, and I never get worried about playing Florida State. But after watching that and then watching Monday, a little bit worried. little bit worried about a couple of weeks in Death Valley. So same takeaway. I was a little surprised by Auburn. I bet on Auburn, but that was more a bet against Massachusetts and Tyson Pumajon, who I think lasted about 6 plays before he got carted off the field. So a little surprised by them. I'm trying to think of what else surprised me. I watched a little bit of Coastal and UCLA late night. Coastal held their own. They were supposed to get stomped. I mean, I know it was only 14 points, but the talk was UCLA was going to roll them. It wasn't the same offense, even though McCall was back, and they held their own. I mean, at one point it was 14-13, I think, and UCLA pulled away a little bit. So, like you guys, a very good first week, except for Monday night. And let's talk a little bit about Monday night. Dabo said it was a weird game, and I agree. Maybe not for the same reasons he thinks it was weird, but I agree. And I wrote for Chancey on Rubbing the Rock that it was only weird on one side of the field. The other side of the field played really well and looked prepared. Clemson, I know you guys have seen all the stats on Twitter, not Locks, but I'm sure you read them somewhere else about how many drives they've had in opponent's territory. They had 2 first and goals at the 1 and didn't score on either one. Not a field goal, not a nothing, right? They first and goal at the 1, they had a penalty and ended up missing a field goal on that drive. First and goal on the 1, they had a fumble. Shades of West Virginia when the ball was run all the way back on Andre Ellington. Still can't get that one off my mind. So I don't know what it is, and I'm starting to worry. I think we knew last year there was some leadership lacking on the offense. I think there still is, and that makes me worry a little bit about Klubnik, who I've defended and praised, and thought he's going to be great forever, and he still may be. But when you have four, not just on their side, not just on the opponent's side of the field, but inside their 10, and come away with nothing, as I wrote for Rubbing the Rock, we shouldn't expect the Clemson offense to score until they actually do score. The 1 yard line doesn't mean anything, apparently. The 10 doesn't mean anything. Certainly the 20 without BT Potter doesn't mean anything. Casey, your takeaways.
Yeah, it was frustrating, wasn't it? But it was a weird feeling all night. And I think I kind of understood what Dabo was saying. It was just, it never felt out of reach until they scored that 28th point. It never felt like, because Clemson moved the ball. If you look at the stats are, it was an even game. Even Clemson probably had better stats. I mean, how many times, what are the chances of getting into the red zone 5 times and only scoring 1 touchdown? Only scoring 7 points with 5 drives into the red zone. Clemson really didn't have a lot of problems moving the ball, and most of that was Will Shipley. He was unbelievable. Phil Maffa, another one, he was fantastic. And what happens when both those guys are on the field at the same time? It was easy. It was a knife through butter on that defense. But once they got down to that inside the 5, all bets were off. I think the kicker will be just fine. That you worry a little bit about that because it's his first game. Robert Gunn, it's his first game. He gets 2 kicks really blocked. I'm not sure the second was fully blocked, but it was at least grazed. And the defense was fine. I mean, they missed some tackles, but you expect that at playing a decent opponent week 1. But I think towards the end, they just kind of threw their hat in because it must have been frustrating for them to have to come on those immediate changes, those changes right after a turnover, things you didn't expect, and you see your offense drive down to the 5 yard line. You expect them to at least get 3, get that TV timeout and run back on the field. I thought the DBs were fantastic. I thought the linebackers were not as good as advertised. I think they will be, but Trotter may still be hurt and nursing that hamstring. I think what Bryce says here at the bottom, and this is the last thing, I'm talking forever here, but even what Bryce says at the bottom, I think that's a big thing, but I don't know if that's a problem yet because everyone's talking about how they don't get separation, but we don't know if they get separation or not. Were they trying to go deep? I mean, I think I saw Cole Turner on the first one 3 times. Cole, he threw a nice ball to Cole. It got broken up. Probably should have been intercepted, but it wasn't a bad ball. Maybe he leads him a little bit more. I'm not down on Klubnik yet. I'll be there on Saturday, so I'm excited to see this bounce back game for them. Hopefully they can do something, open up the offense a little bit. It was so vanilla. It was disgusting. I mean, I need some Jimmy's on my ice cream.
Well, that's the other thing I wrote in that article is that one team was on the attack Monday, and it wasn't Clemson, right? They were running up the middle. They ran Shipley up the middle 3 times and threw a little pass into the flat again, for no gain, and it was 3rd and 10, just like that. I agree with Bryce's comment too. I don't see anybody there besides Antonio Williams in the slot. They didn't call anybody's name till late in the first half, and then they did then they got Collins the ball a couple of times, but there's nobody there at wide receiver. There's certainly no Mike Williams or anyone in that same stratosphere. Locks, takeaways.
You guys hit all the highlights. One thing that I saw, and maybe it's not even a thing, but seemed like there was a lot of play calls where, say, it'd be Shipley up the middle, he'd get rip off 8 and turn around and hurry up offense, and we're throwing to Shipley out in the flat back to back. The kid can't catch his breath. And one of those instances, I think there was a fumble, and it was just like, we're moving so fast, but like spread it out. And I don't know if that's, the quarterback's decision to make or if the play is called for them, but they just, you could tell they're gassed because they're moving so fast, which is great, but you got to spread it around, The narrative I've seen too is the big highlights are the 2 losses was LSU and Clemson. Well, those are 2 very different losses. And I think the 3 of us know that.
Yeah.
Because LSU still has a season to play for. They just lost to a very good team out of conference. Clemson lost to a team in conference that's known for playing basketball. And to anybody that's not, I mean, it's a true story though. Anybody that's not a hardcore football, watching fiend like the three of us immediately thinks of Duke as a basketball school. And now they are improved. There is no doubt the quarterback is a legit player, but you can't lose to Duke and still be in the talks for being an elite team this year. I don't think. I just don't see how they recover for it. And it's too bad it happened in the first game.
Yeah, I also wrote for Chancey over the summer on Rubbing the Rock. I keep saying that, but I wrote that this was the most important game of the year for Clemson. And
you said that last week, and I kind of scoffed at it, like, whatever, we're going to win by 3 scores, and we lost by 3 scores.
Yeah,
I think it's better to lose in the first game, though. I think there's
more
to play with.
Agreed. If it was an out of conference opponent, though,
if you're playing LSU,
I mean, Duke's going to lose one. And Clemson will be thrust right back into beat Florida State, and the ship is righted immediately.
Yeah, but that's not the worry for me, though. The worry for me is that Clemson's going to lose again, and that's going to be 2 instead of the 1 if they would have beaten Duke. So that's where I was going with that. All right, fellas, let's see if y'all can pass the test this week. One bold prediction for week 2. Week 2. Locks, you're up first since you've been bragging about yours.
It didn't occur to me that maybe I screwed this up again until we started the show. But
5 minutes ago.
Here we go. Okay, so I tried to think a little bolder, a little further out. Casey last week, predicted something that may happen in the season. This may happen years from now. So
So you're going to lose.
Before Monday, before even last year, I didn't think this would have ever happened, but I feel firm that I think it can happen more than ever, that Dabo Swinney will be the coach of the Alabama Crimson Tide at some point. I didn't think that would happen. I just didn't. But I feel like if things keep on continuing, it will give him more of a reason to just let go. And, the fans, we know how fickle they can be. I don't think, I think he has an open invitation for the rest of his career, obviously from what he's done, but it may get a little sour taste at some point,
If Clemson fans, if you think they're fickle,
oh yeah,
what's going to happen at Alabama?
Don't disagree, but would you not like to go back to where you started the whole thing, and that's always been the talk, but who knows when that might be, because, Saban can be the crypt keeper, and he can have that job as long as he wants to. So it might be another 20 years, but yeah, it's something that I just personally never thought would happen. But
yeah, I'm of the opinion that sometimes the dream jobs are the worst thing that can happen to a person. Like, what's the basketball coach who went from A&M to Kentucky, Billy Gillispie, and turned into a drunk and a raging alcoholic? And I kept saying, "What they built statues of that dude at A&M if he stayed." And he went to Kentucky and he was done. He was coaching in some junior college 5 years later. So it doesn't always work out. But I get your point. That's his alma mater. That wasn't Gillespie's alma mater. So I guess that makes a difference. I don't see it happening. I think he'll quit coaching before he goes somewhere else.
That could very well happen too, because there's a lot happening that he's not embracing. We all know that too.
Definitely. All right, Beef. Week 2. Can you keep it to week 2 and not 2037?
Yeah, I followed instructions this week.
I'm going to do better. Just bear with me.
One of those things that I only make a mistake once on, and I realized it a little late, but I got it this week. My bold prediction is Nebraska beats Colorado.
Okay. One of us has a pick in that game coming up.
I would love to see that happen.
I don't think it's going to happen, but that's my bold prediction. Why not?
Yeah.
Well, okay. I think that's
there's a reason, but go ahead, Marty.
That qualifies. It's only a 3-point spread. It's not like it's 28 or something. But it qualifies, though.
The way that Colorado's getting the love, Travis Hunter, he is him, which I hate that.
Oh, God.
Call me old or whatever, but even Deion saying that, pumping his player up, which I respect completely. I just think Nebraska. I don't think Nebraska's going to win. I think they have problems on offense, even with Jeff Sims, the Georgia Tech transfer, who adds a little running element. But I just think they're going to be a little bit more stout on the offensive and defensive lines and they play a more traditional 4-3 defense than TCU's 3-3-5, which. Yeah, okay. They hide blitzes, but it really didn't do anything. Shador got the ball out really fast. He's probably going to get the ball out really fast again this week. But I think it's just a little bit more of a stout offensive and defensive lines that Colorado's going to play this week, and with an athletic quarterback. I just think it's going to be closer. Obviously, the -3 is going to tell you it's going to be. Vegas thinks it's going to be close. I just think maybe Nebraska sneaks one here.
Interesting. Somebody has a pick out of the three of us. This comment here, I don't think that's going to happen with Dabo to any great extent.
So that was a big thing. DJ's dad said something that got caught fire today about the portal and stuff. You have to have the numbers, and before people can go out and say, "Oh, well, they keep giving scholarships to Daniel High School kid," that's not actually true. I mean, the only kid that really I think there's two that have scholarships. It's that Mason Kelly. And it's the brother of Shaq Lawson. It's the Lawson kid, Jaheim Lawson, are the only two Daniel High School, and they're actually legit players. So they had to cut down, and thankfully they had a kid kicked off the team. They got to 85. You have to have the numbers to get in the portal. So like this narrative is fun and it's great and it's awesome to knock Dabo on, but the reality is that Clemson doesn't have the numbers, and he's not going to start cutting players. It's just not going to happen. So if there's a need, and he keeps saying it over and over again, and it just doesn't seem to resonate with the fans. If there's a need and space, I guarantee he goes out and gets somebody. Yeah, he's going to get these little piddly third-string quarterbacks right now, but and he probably needs to use that scholarship to go out and fill a hole somewhere. But he's not going to go get these 14, 16 players like Florida State or Ole Miss. He's just not. That's just not who he is. And I think that's okay. But you need to have those numbers, man.
I think what you said is well said, because there's no hole to fill. You're undefeated and you're saying things well. You must be learning something on those other podcasts.
Yeah, it's that message Sport Geniuses make me do make me do homework and stuff.
There are 14 players transferring to Florida State because 14 players left for whatever reason, right? Not 14 players aren't going to leave Clemson every year. So it's just not going to. I think
he probably would have had what? He probably would have had three guys. He didn't expect to come back with Rook and XT and Tyler Davis. Like, I mean, that's going to happen at Clemson. Christian Wilkins came back to play his senior year. CJ Spiller came back to play his senior year. James Davis. I mean, like, you can keep going. So this whole narrative also that it's not a good culture there, that's obviously false.
He's been very clear that, like you said, if he sees a need, and that's, one or two or whatever, and the players got to fit the culture. And I mean, there's, it's like trying to get a job at Dell or something, right? I'd like to work there, but, interview 1,000 people for every one. So, hey, Bryce, it's funny you mentioned that, because that is my bold prediction for week 2 is Texas beats Oklahoma. I'm doing this on faith because I watched a lot of Texas and Rice. I watched them fail on a 4th and 2 inches against Rice. They threw the ball and it was incomplete in the first drive of the season. But Texas has some dogs at receiver. Now, Ewers has to get them the ball, but they have a chance to win that game, I would say. And I think a couple of Alabama defensive backs are hurt, or at least that's what's gotten out. Whether it's true or not, I don't know. But I think 7 points, the line is telling you something. It's that Alabama's not going to dominate this game, and Texas will have a chance. And that is my bold prediction for week 2. Locks looks like his head is going to explode because I'm betting against the SEC team.
I just asking for a friend. How's the Texas defense tackling these days? Better?
Rice only scored 3 points.
Okay, you got me. With JT Daniels at the helm, even.
Yeah, JT Daniels. I wonder where he'll be next year. This is
poor guy. He's got a rough road ahead too, I think.
Okay, we got Dabo going to Alabama. we've got Colorado losing to Nebraska, and we've got Texas beating Alabama. I'll put those in a poll, locks, poll, and we'll see who comes out ahead on that one. And we talked about it's almost time for our picks, fellas. And here's the scoreboard. Locks asked for pink, Beef asked for chartreuse.
I did.
As you can see, Beef has 11,158.01. So we know one of his bets will be a penny and probably $58 in there somewhere. Or, 58 Sluggo bucks. Locks 10,543.72 and 277.28. So we're all positive, fellas, and we probably need to take a picture of that. Oh, wait a second, I just did. And because that might be the last time we're all positive, right?
For you.
Yeah.
Ooh, shots fired.
For me, definitely.
I need a new sounder, shots fired. But my takeaway was we were 6-2 in games that we didn't go head to head, right? No, excuse me, 6-1, because one win and one loss would be 7-2. I think that's pretty darn good.
Yeah. And first week too, a lot of guessing out there, no data to fall back on. So I think it's a pretty good week all in all.
Not bad. Okay, fellas, it's time. I don't think you could have done any worse if you tried.
Well, I take that as a victory.
These guys aren't doing research, so why should I? Beef, you stink the most.
A true believer in what they're doing in North Carolina. That's why I'm picking Virginia Tech, Tennessee.
I love Spencer Rattler.
I agree with Marty.
I don't like this.
Look, you smell it, the backdoor cover.
The backdoor cover. Before we move on to the picks, Jeffrey says one of these years Texas will, and all their 5 stars will win some big games. I don't know if they're going to win Saturday. That's just a bold prediction, but they are talented at wide receiver. Now, if Ewers can get them the ball, they have a shot. I don't know if they're going to be able to run the ball or not against Alabama. But somebody said, I mentioned this on our text chain, fellas, somebody told me that losing Bijan Robinson was going to be no problem because they got 4 guys in the backfield better than Bijan Robinson. There ain't 4 guys in the NFL better than Bijan Robinson. So anyway,
Amen.
That not true. Clemson will win Saturday.
I hope so, Kevron.
Bold prediction from Kevron. Bold prediction. All right, I'm the worst of the 3, at least for now, probably forever. I will go first. I am going to, well, let me put it this way. I believe. I'm going not head to head against Beef because it's not his picks, but I'm taking Colorado -2.5. My new strategy this year is not to bet on the team I'm taking, but bet against the team I think is the worst team. Nebraska still finds ways to lose games.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been how many years now? They lose all kinds of ways, all kinds of interesting way. I got 2.5. I probably wouldn't have taken that 3. I'm going to go Colorado -2.5 for what did I do? 345 Sluggo bucks. It's -115. That will return me $300.
Look at you.
Math.
Advanced math, Casey.
This is what we call the reverse beef. Beef looks at his total and bets the odd pennies. I look at the juice and bet trying to win ours, even amount of dollars.
I like round numbers. Hey Bryce, if they score 10 points on Clemson, pack it in. I did the research on Charleston Southern. They're not good. Let's just put it to you that way. Even in garbage time, they even with a Sweeney on the field, they shouldn't score 10 points.
Ooh, nice.
All right.
Okay, Locks, you're up. Locks, you're in the middle here, and you're up second.
All right. Let's see. My first one will be Utah. Utah -7. I took them last week in the under with Florida. Boy, how bad is Florida? We didn't mention that. Yeah, it's going to be a long season for them. Like I said, Utah -7 playing Baylor. Baylor, who lost to Texas State.
San Marcos.
Yeah. So 0-2 start for Baylor coming. I don't know. I mean, I saw the Utah defense. I watched that game. They're very good. I don't know that Utah gets their quarterback back. I don't think they do this week. But still, I like them traveling. I like their excuse me, I like their defense. Baylor just doesn't have it together. I saw their highlights. Not a lot of good going so far for them. So give me Utah -7. Excuse me, $600.
Woof. I'm not falling for it this year, fellas. Utah -7 for $600. Beef, your first pick.
My first pick, I'm going to go with the Texas-Alabama game. Yeah. And I'm actually going to go Texas +7. I'm not sure they exactly win, but I think it's going to be a one-score game. I just think that +7 is a lot, especially the way last year played out. Xavier Worthy is fantastic. So like you said, Marty, if Quinn Ewers can get guys, those Frisbee catching dogs, as I always say about a wide receiver core, if he can get them the ball, they're going to stress that Alabama defensive backfield. So Texas +7 for $158.01.
I knew it. 150.
I like round numbers.
Nice. All right, Texas -7.
Carry the one.
All right, my second pick. Going back to the well, and this will probably be the last time I go to this well. I am going to take Auburn. Yes, the Auburn Tigers, who Zach Locks Parker said were terrible. They will hopefully win for me for the second time. Auburn -6.5 playing at California. Cal had a big win last week, but I don't believe them. They played North Texas, who Casey and I could probably play quarterback and wide receiver for. So I think Auburn is just eventually – it's under a touchdown. I think Auburn is going to pound them eventually and win by at least 7. I did all my math here. Let's see. This one is -110, so I'm going 330 sluggo bucks on that one. I had it right on my paper. I don't even know why. Okay. Locks, your second pick.
Let's see here. Oregon. What do we call them? -6.5. Playing another team that got upset last week. I guess it was an upset. Lost to Wyoming. Texas Tech took the L to Wyoming last week in a pretty tight game. I think they're favored by 14 also. And they lost.
Right.
So Oregon, if you recall, put up 81. That's pretty good. 6.5 though. That's a lot smaller than I thought, but I think Oregon's just going to run them right out of the stadium. So put me down for another $600 on this one too.
Texas Tech is known for their defense. Oh wait,
It's tough to play in Laramie though.
Okay,
why would you even go there?
I've been there. My cousin went to school there.
I just mean, I mean, why? Like, if you're a team from the Big 12, why are you going to go play them at altitude? And they're always tough. I mean, they're not great, but they're always tough.
Yeah,
it's the mountain version of Lubbock. Have you ever been to Lubbock?
No.
They don't call it La Buttocks for nothing. So it's the mountain version of Lubbock. Okay, 600 on Oregon. Casey, your second pick.
Yeah, I'm glad Locks didn't do this one because we're actually, I think, well, he'll tell you later, but I'm going Notre Dame -7.5. Is that at NC State?
Yeah.
Yes, I believe so.
It's at NC State at noon. Notre Dame, Sam Hartman, they are absolutely drooling and saying some really awful stuff about what they would do to Sam Hartman. I'm talking about Notre Dame fans. And so I'm going with them 7.5. I think they're going to win by at least 2 touchdowns. They're really good. Audric Estime is fantastic. Their wide receivers are still okay, but haven't really been tested yet. I don't think this one is going to be much of a test either. Notre Dame 500 sluggo bucks.
Nice, 500. Nice round number. All right, my third and final pick. Maybe this should have been my bold prediction for the week. I believe, kind of, that Miami is going to take down Texas A&M on Saturday. I'm getting this at +162. I think this is a 4.5-point spread last time I saw. I don't know. I didn't write the spread down because Miami's going to win the game outright. Their crowd is going to be about a third full. That's jam packed for Miami. A third is jam packed. I just think Miami's going to beat them. Again, what am I doing here? Am I betting against the team that always chokes, always blows it? They're talking smack on social media. Texas A&M is. Miami is going to break through. Not only did Florida State see an opening in the ACC last Monday night, Miami saw an opening in the ACC Monday night. Miami will beat Texas A&M on Saturday. And wait till you hear this bet. 493.83 Sluggo bucks. At plus 162 works out to 800 if I win. More likely negative 493.83.
Oh,
And he makes fun of me, this guy.
That's a bold bet there, Marty. It's a
4.5 point spread.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money you spent on that one, though. That for you? I mean, I was thinking maybe more like the $3.83.
That will be next week when I lose this one. But I'm going for 493.83. I mean, it's kind of it's not the 1,500 or whatever I stupidly bet last year, right? So I won't be out of it if I lose this bet. I'll be in it on week 3. All right.
Yep.
I told you guys, my in-laws.
All knew you.
I was going to prove my in-laws right, and I'm on my way to doing that. All right, Locks, your third pick.
You're just a big bully. You're just picking on all the terrible teams, Marty. I'm noticing that. I mean, I'm going after teams that I like. You're just going after teams you don't like. It's kind of disappointing.
Hey, that method did not work for me last year, as you found out.
It's still early, and everybody's still trying to fill each other out. But we've said it before. Casey and I, a lot of times, we have the same brain on a lot of things, and I like Notre Dame too. Picking Notre Dame here. I hate the number. I delayed a couple days to pick my final game. I was hoping the Alabama game would go down to 6.5, but it stayed at 7. I feel like Notre Dame's a pretty complete team, and I don't like to say that to give anybody some ammunition that we know to prove us wrong or right. But they're pretty good. Sam Hartman's real good, I think. I really like him. And like Casey's saying, they're really good at under lines and estimated their running backs excellent. So going into NC State, I don't feel like it's a huge challenge. They played Connecticut last week, and they won by 2 scores. Maybe they're holding back, waiting on this game. I don't think so, though. But give me Notre Dame here. I think they're going to blow them out. Another $600 on this one.
Wow, straight across the board for Lock, 600. On that vein, maybe Clemson held out for Charleston Southern. Beef, your third pick, Beef.
My third and final pick, it's been called. I actually changed it, and I changed it at Showtime, and it pissed off Marty because he had a really nice graphic that I completely ruined. And he had a joke lined up, and I completely ruined that too. But, you got to dance with the girl you brought. John Chansey calling you out. You know where I'm going. No one, and I repeat, no one goes in to SHI Stadium in Piscataway, New Jersey, and comes out with a victory on Saturdays at noon, except all of the Big Ten. But Temple comes to town, then their vaunted quarterback, E.J. Warner, and their running back, Edward Sadie, well, they're going to say La Vie once Rutgers. I'm trying to be a professional wrestler pretty soon. Rutgers minus 9. I'm actually taking Rutgers minus 9 and giving it for.
They're favored by 9. Wow.
That's why I took it. I thought there wasn't a line, but there is. I have written down 500 Sluggo bucks. I'm so confident I'm going to double it. 1,000 Sluggo bucks.
Oh boy, Marty!
First place.
This is where it starts.
Temple did beat Akron last week, 24-21 in a barn burner. I don't know if you guys watched it. I didn't, but
I have it on DVR.
Every time you say SHI Stadium, I think of something really a joke. That wasn't my joke.
Potato Stadium, yeah.
My joke was I just cut and you guys saved me a lot of time because I just cut and pasted your picks.
Yeah.
But It wasn't very good, but it was still a joke. Okay, here we go. Casey the Beef Creek is in first place, at least for now. He takes Rutgers -9 for 1,000 Sluggo bucks. Texas +7 for 158.01. Notre Dame -7.5 for 500. Zach Locks Parker, something you never say about Zach. He's very consistent. Oregon -6.5 for 600 Sluggo bucks. Utah -7 for 600 Sluggo bucks. Notre Dame -7.5 for 600 Sluggo bucks. 3 favorites. Interesting. Okay. And Beef took what? Underdog there. Okay. Marty, soon to be first place Coleman. Colorado -2.5 for 345 Sluggo bucks. Auburn -6.5 for 330 Sluggo bucks. And the pick of the week, Miami money line +162 for 493.83 Sluggo bucks to return 800 on Saturday. And I can't wait till Miami takes down Texas A&M. Because if Texas beats Alabama and Texas A&M loses to Miami, there will be riots in the street outside of my front door. Can't wait.
Kyle, Texas.
Kyle, Texas, baby. Can't wait. Can't wait.
Couches will be lit on fire.
Oh, it'll be because there's like half and half, and on the other side of the neighborhood, there's a Kansas City Chiefs flag. I don't understand. Oh, wait, they won the Super Bowl. No wonder. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right, guys. Beef, tell the people thank you, and let's hit their streets.
Thanks to everyone in the Seldom Used Reserve College Football Discussion Facebook group, Uncle John McGee, as always, Sluggo Podcast, and each and every one of you who listens, likes, shares, and participates. We really do like the interaction. On behalf of Marty, Seldom Used Reserve Coleman, and Zach Locks Parker, I'm Casey the Beef Creek, and thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you right here next week on Sluggo.
We'll see you next week. I'll see you fellas on the old text machine.
Oh, yeah. See you later.
I think we're done here.